In the last 10 years, Peru has sworn in 8 presidents. That's a rate of one new head of state almost every 12 months, an exhausting cycle of turnover that has made the country's executive branch a revolving door of political instability. Standard macroeconomic theory dictates that this level of systemic chaos should wreck a nation's finances. Investors are supposed to flee, local markets should crash, and soaring inflation follows close behind. Yet Peru defies that logic completely. Over recent decades, it has maintained the fastest-growing economy in its region, keeping inflation pinned down at a remarkably low 1.5%. The national currency has actually appreciated 11% this year alone, making it the strongest currency in all of Latin America. Peru's stability is the direct output of a carefully engineered financial system, overseen by a central bank with total institutional autonomy. The Peruvian constitution explicitly forbids the central bank from lending money to the government. Politicians cannot order the bank to print cash to fund their election campaigns, and they cannot pressure it to cover their deficits. Most countries manage their money using one of 2 standard models. This split-screen graph shows the difference. They either peg the value of their currency directly to a foreign anchor, like the US dollar, or they let it float freely on the open market like any other commodity. Peru uses a hybrid approach called a dirty float. The currency trades openly on the market, but it travels within an invisible safety corridor. When the value drops too low or spikes too high, the central bank actively intervenes. It buys or sells foreign currency to force the sol back toward the middle. Running a system like this requires enormous capital. To guarantee they always have enough leverage to move the market, the bank holds on to $75 billion in foreign reserves, which equals roughly 30% of the country's entire GDP. By combining strict legal independence with that massive stockpile of reserves, the bank operates as a literal economic shock absorber, insulating the country's wealth from external turbulence. Right now, that system is being tested by heavy external pressure. The United States dollar has recently lost roughly 10. Gold makes up 36% of Peru's total exports, meaning the country holds vast reserves of the exact asset the world suddenly wants to buy. As global demand drives the price of precious metals up, international buyers send billions of dollars to Lima to secure those resources, flooding the local economy with foreign cash. Decisions made thousands of miles away in Washington are directly driving up the value of Peruvian exports, testing the absolute limit of the central bank. Investors want to profit off this commodities boom, but actually acquiring and storing physical gold is expensive and complicated. This diagram shows how they work around it using what are called hybrid derivatives. Instead of buying bullion, investors are aggressively buying up Peruvian bonds without hedging for currency risks. Since Peru's economy is backed by metals, betting on the sol equals betting on gold. This loophole artificially inflates currency demand. It pushes the exchange rate higher and faster than the actual physical trade would dictate. A currency that rises too fast threatens to price the country out of the global market. If the sol becomes too expensive, everyday Peruvian exports stop being competitive, threatening to permanently hollow out domestic industries. To prevent the currency from overheating, the central bank recently stepped into the open market and purchased $27 million to artificially drag the exchange rate back down. This $27 million purchase is far too small to move the market through sheer volume. Instead, the bank deployed it as a psychological signal, a warning to the market that the system is being actively monitored. The resilience of this system proves that genuine financial security doesn't happen by accident. Whether you are managing a nation's reserves or your own personal savings, stability requires understanding the underlying mechanics of money rather than simply reacting blindly to the noise of global politics.
The Peru-Bolivia border is normally a predictable crossing point, but recently the commercial traffic flowing through this checkpoint has been hiding an economic anomaly. People coming from the Bolivian side are exchanging their local currency for Peruvian sols, and they are paying rates significantly higher than the official exchange. This chart shows how the trade flows. They aren't buying these sols to shop in Peruvian markets. They are taking those sols and immediately swapping them again for US dollars. Getting US dollars directly inside Bolivia has become incredibly difficult due to strict financial controls and artificial exchange rates imposed by the government. What we are looking at is a currency backdoor. It's an improvised, multi-step survival mechanism created by citizens trapped inside a failing domestic economy. To understand how it came to this, we have to look back to the pandemic.
While inflation was surging past 10% in many developed countries, Bolivia's inflation barely moved, sitting around 2 to 3%. There was a catch to that apparent stability. The Bolivian government was actively spending down its national dollar reserves to heavily subsidize domestic prices, keeping them artificially low. This chart illustrates the severe drop-off. In 2014, bolstered by natural gas revenues, Bolivia held $15 billion in net reserves. Over the next decade, that stockpile dwindled. Today, liquid reserves stand at roughly $120 million, a microscopic amount of savings. Without those reserve dollars to continue subsidizing goods, the artificial price ceiling collapsed. Inflation spiked faster than anywhere else in the region, and the local currency, the Boliviano, lost more than half its value. Holding on to domestic currency became a guaranteed way to lose wealth. Acquiring US dollars became the only viable way for everyday citizens to protect their money. The currency crash quickly triggered a physical shortage. Supermarket shelves emptied as importers struggled to buy inventory from abroad. Securing everyday essentials turned into a high-pressure scramble. People queued for hours just to purchase basic cooking oil before prices jumped again. The mounting cost of the basic food basket pushed citizens into the streets. Protesters carried signs condemning hunger, lack of dollars, and unlivable minimum wages. Navigating the official government channels to get dollars is riddled with bureaucratic obstacles, and turning to the local black market comes with massive markups. That brings us back to the border. The exchange market between the Boliviano and Peruvian Sol operates with very little friction and no extra costs. Because it acts as a reliable, cheaper stepping stone to the dollar, the Peruvian Sol has effectively become a shadow reserve currency for the Bolivian people. This crisis is no longer contained within Bolivia's borders. The economic collapse has sparked a mass exodus, with estimates suggesting nearly 1 million Bolivians could migrate into Peru. That is 1 million additional people who need Peruvian sols to pay their rent, to buy their food, and to find work. This sudden, massive demand has caused the sol to appreciate by 11% in less than a year. It's a spike severe enough that Peru's central bank has publicly expressed concern and warned they might intervene. The risk here is a sudden correction. If Bolivia's economy stabilizes and trust returns, this artificial demand for the sol will evaporate, leaving Peru's currency highly vulnerable to a crash. A localized policy failure has leaked across a sovereign border, proving that modern economic networks are tightly bound together. A depletion of gas revenues in Bolivia is now threatening the monetary stability of Peru. In economics, the initial collapse is rarely the end of the story. It's the second and third order effects that cause the most damage.